Alright, so we're back, and today we're going to be going over the Draft Premier League Season 5 auction. Or not necessarily the auction, but the players that were drafted during the auction and how they play into their respective teams. In other words, it's a power rankings of the DPL Season 5 teams. And I'm not doing it alone. I have Mr. Hacker Killer with me by my side, so you can say hi.
Hello.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, I don't know if you want to say anything more than that, but yeah, you know, it just high is good enough. Anyway, I guess we can just get right into it with the first team being Temporal Tower Titans, captained by Narth and Rob Jr. What do you feel about this team? Or do you want me to go first?
I got it.
Okay.
I think Rob Jr. is like probably one of the best players in the player pool.
Okay.
I think Narf's good and stuff. I think he's a good captain.
Yeah. I think I agree with you too. I think Narth's going to be pretty active. Rob Jr. is just a really good player. And I've heard that Rob Jr. has been sweating from some of the guys on this team. So, you know, this should be pretty cool. In terms of their actual draft, though, I don't know with this one. At first, I thought they were one of the better teams, like early auction, because they got Bronson for 5K, which is insane because they basically got their shitter pick out of the way, and Bronson isn't a shitter. He's just like an actually good player. So if this were the end of the draft and they needed to pick up a 5K player and they got Bronson, that would be insane. So instead, they just front loaded that and they got Bronson for 5K at the start of the auction.
A steal for Bronson.
Yeah, that's a huge steal. That's an absolute steal. So I'm like, okay, this is a very good. And then they got TDK for 22K, which is again a pretty like undervalued price for TDK, because I think TDK might be one of the better players in this pool, like play wise. I don't know how much draft experience he has. I know he's been playing in UDL, but I don't know how much of that is with help from other draft players in terms of prep support and whatnot, but these captains should be able to provide that prep support. So early auction, I'm like, okay, these guys are doing really good. They got Bronson for 5K, absolute steal. They underpaid on TDK, so two really good players off the bat. Do you think I'm correct, or do you have any differing thoughts?
I'm not really familiar with TDK. I'm not really experienced in the snowground scene. But,
okay. Yeah, TDK is just
pretty insane.
I believe he's the UU leader, and he just plays very good most of the time. Or at least recently. I know that John W was saying that he wasn't doing too great early in the snowground scene, but he's been like piping up recently, and he's just been doing really good for the past year or 2 or 3 or something. So yeah, TDK is really solid, one of the better players in this pool. We'll just see if he can convert his playability into the draft scene. But yeah, so Bronson and TDK, really good pickups early on. Next up, they got Vesuvius for 10K. Now, Ves is a little bit of a wild card. We know that sometimes he does really good, but like last season, I think he went 1-5 or so, which obviously isn't great, but he has been known to do somewhat well, so hopefully they get some type of value out of this. I think the first 3 picks are good. I think Bronson, TDK, Ves. Ves is about fair value at 10K. TDK underpay. Bronson super steal. Agree, disagree?
Agree. I'm pretty sure Ves is pretty active too.
Yeah, he should be. He should be pretty sweaty in DPL at least. Okay, so now is where the draft starts to almost fall apart. I think in DPL, all the teams are going to be good no matter what, just because the quality of players are there. But in comparison to the other teams, I think this is where the draft kind of starts to fall off. So for their 4th pick, they got a 6K's Sablo. Now Sablo, like I said, he's not bad, but with the amount of budget they had left, they could have sprung for someone that is considered like a top tier hitter. They probably could have got Wombo or like TC or iPro even. Well, iPro went very early, but they could have, you know what I mean? They could have got like pretty good players.
They could have got someone better.
Yeah, they could have got someone better than Sablo. And you can see with their remaining budget of 6.5K that they had the budget to spring for someone higher, and they filled up all like 10 slots on the team, and not with the highest quality players compared to other teams. So this is where the draft kind of falls off. I don't know if you agree with me, disagree. How do you feel about Sablo pickup here?
I think for 6K is fine, but I think you could have got someone better.
Yeah, right. And then same thing with TDG. TDG has been, he's kind of all over the place, isn't he? Sometimes he does great, like TDT, the most recent season, he went like 7-0 or 8-0 or something.
He
And
won overall MVP.
yeah, he won overall MVP. He did amazing. And then in Clash of Kings this most recent season, he went 0-5 or 0-4. And I think that was like literally the worst record. So I don't know if that's just inconsistency or if it's something else there. But for 5K, TDG might be worth it. We'll see though how this plays out.
Well, at the very least, it's gonna be super active.
Yeah, for sure. But again, with like they could have just paid for someone better. I don't know where they decided to spend all their budget. We'll see where they decided to spend all their budget, and I think that was a pretty big mistake. Like they should have just spent it earlier. But first they got Word Life for 5.5K. Now we know that the history of Word Life is pretty colorful. Sometimes he's there and he's known as Clutch Life. Sometimes he disappears and doesn't show up in the server, and then he comes back and clutches it up. And sometimes he just leaves the server because he gets into fights with Gypsy King and talks about his sister or something similar to that. Yeah. So if he's gonna be alive, or if he can play his games and not make the server implode, I think 5.5K Word Life is worth it. But it's always a coin toss, you know. If he's there after mid, then he was probably there. If he's gone before mids, then you just lost 5K for no reason, basically. What do you think?
5.5K, I don't think it's that big of a risk.
Yeah, it's not that big of a risk, right? They own, it's basically min bid, and again, Word Life for min bid is insane, so I think it's totally good. So this is where they ended up wasting the majority of their budget. Now I don't want to say wasting, because I think Toxic is a good player. He's been.
I think they got forced to overpay.
Yeah, they got forced to overpay for Toxic because they had so much budget left over, and the opponent in the auction that they knew that they could force the overpay just by upbidding TTT so highly because they had to spend their budget on someone, and it just happened to be Toxic. Now, like I said, I think Toxic's a good player. He's been proven to do well overall in tours. I think in the most previous TDT, he hasn't done too great, but in Clash of Kings and the last DPL, he did totally awesome. So I think Toxic's a good player, and he's worth probably around 15, 18K, but 25K might be a little bit too much there. But I guess they were forced into it, so this is probably one of the bigger draft mistakes where they should have just sprung for someone overall quality higher earlier in the draft, so they wouldn't be forced into paying 25K for Toxic. You agree, disagree?
I agree.
Yeah.
They just really get any heavy hitters besides TDK.
Yeah, exactly. They have TDK and they have Rob Jr. I think those are the only you can call them guaranteed wins almost. And TDK is still unproven in the draft scene. I think this is his literal first draft team tour, so that might not even be a guaranteed win. We don't know yet. But yeah, we can move on to Rinnigan for 7K. Sorry. Yeah, this is fine. I think Rinnigan is worth more than 7K. I think it's probably worth 10K, maybe more even. For 7K, this is a pretty good pickup. Yeah, I don't know. This is a solid pickup here. Rinnigan, if he's semi-active or if he just has someone that can build his team for him, he'll pilot it very well. One thing, I've teamed with Rinnigan twice now, and he's always been able to play amazingly. Just don't let him build his own teams. So if he can get some type of prep support, then he'll do totally well. Yeah, next up we have Amol for 20K. Now again, this is a big overpay, but
this is Toxic.
Yeah, this is exactly Toxic 2.0, because Amol, again, fine player. He's known to do decent at least, but 20K is probably a 10K overpay. I think Amol's worth 10 to 12K, so yeah. I guess they had the budget and they still have budget remaining, but we'll see, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I think this team started off very well, and then they just never decided to pick up their I don't know how to say their big player. So they just kind of had to overpay on not mediocre player, but average players. So such as Toxic and Amol. So yeah. Their final pickup, actually, they have L numbers for 8K. I think this guy's a Smogon dude. I think he's tour banned on Smogon or something. I don't know much about him. All I know is that he's tour banned on Smogon. So for 8K, I don't know. If he can play well, then this is probably worth it. He just, gets subbed in somewhere, or he plays 1 or 2 games, and if he can get that win, that's worth the 8K. Your thoughts?
I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think he's just some, tour banned Smogon dude. That's all I know about him. Alright, so overall, I think this team is, probably one of the worst ones. I don't want to say the definitive worst team because I just don't know. But yeah, I think it's like on the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to this DPL season. Do you agree or?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, all right. So yeah, we can move on to Mount Rushmore, then captained by Zazo and Matty Brawlick. And the first pickup, 45.
The best captain player.
Actually, yeah, this is definitely, well, I don't know, is it? Because there's Kakrick and John W too. I guess John W is cursed in like all team tours. I think even in like SPL, he ended up making finals and then he lost tie breaks. So I'm like convinced that John W is cursed at all team tours. So maybe Zazo, Matty Brawlick might be the best cap core just because John W is cursed. Though I don't know. Like in terms of this relative skill, do you think Zazo, Matty Brawlick is better than Kakrick, John W?
But it's hard to tell because Matty doesn't really play much draft now.
I think he plays in UDL still. I'm pretty sure. So I think he still is like not. He's not gonna be rusty or anything. He has the experience and he's building up that experience still. So
Kakrick and John are probably better players.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like in terms of recency, we've probably seen more John W, more Kakrick than we have more Zazo and Matty Brawlick. So I don't know if this is the best cap core, but this is definitely in contention for first. Probably tied for first with Kakrick, John W. But yeah, I agree. This is one of the better cap cores, if not the best cap core. Their first pickup, though, they got Gypsy King for 45.5k. Maybe a little bit of an overpay. Sorry. Maybe not. 45 is okay, probably for Gypsy King.
Look, are we gonna spend over 40k on anyone that's Gypsy?
Yeah, that's probably true. If you're gonna spend, well, what about King L5? I think King L5 is worth 40k too, but.
Well, that's the only other exception.
Yeah, I think if you're going to spend this much on someone, it has to be like Gypsy. So 45k for Gypsy, I guess it's fine. They still had the budget left over. Okay, so next up, actually, yeah, I don't think we have to say anything else about Gypsy King. Everyone knows who Gypsy is. He's just the GOAT, okay? 45k, his price speaks for himself. He's the guaranteed win pretty much every week. There's no shot he's losing just out of nowhere, okay? He's just probably going to win every week, and yeah, he's going to destroy everyone. All that good stuff. But their next pickup, Aki, for 21k. Now, this might have been a bad play on Mount Rushmore's end. 21k for Aki is questionable, I want to say. We know that Aki is a good player, but we've seen his previous performances. And though he's not bad by any means, if we just look at his overall tour performance, I think he's like just over 50%. Yeah, he's 8-6 with 57.14% win rate. So for 21k, you usually don't want to be paying that much for a player that's just above 50% win rate. You want to get like 65 maybe percent win rate for 20 plus k. So this might have been a slight overpay, and I guess the people that were bidding against Mount Rushmore here knew that Zazo would be willing to pay that much just to get him onto Mount Rushmore. So do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think it's worth
I think he's good, but his price got inflated just because of Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. And they got upbid and they ended up wasting more than like half their budget in the first two picks, and that forced them into some really interesting picks later on with a bunch of 5Ks at the end that we'll see later. But yeah, Aki's totally fine. Like I said, he's a good enough player, and we've seen through his previous draft experience in DPL that he can easily go positive or at least break even. So I think 21k is definitely fine for a player. If a player like Aki, if he's going to be active and he's going to be consistent in winning the games, but I'm just not sure if that with his current performances, he's right on the edge of worth that. I don't know if he's completely worth it or if he's just, this might have been a slight overpay. Yeah, I don't think I can rehash that point any further, so we can just move on to Carson for 15.5k. How do you feel about Carson? Because I think he's fine, and I think this is an okay pick.
I think he's fine, yeah.
Yeah, for 15k, I think he should go positive.
He's another one of the UGO.
Yep. You think he'll go positive, right? For
I think at worst to go even.
Yeah, I agree. I think for 15k, I think that's probably what you want from a player. You want someone that'll probably go positive, and at worst he'll break even here. So I think that's good. Next up we have Aster for 5.5k. Aster's an old head.
I
He
think this
has.
is a steal.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty big steal. He's gonna be at the very least able to play Auras to a high level because he's been around in the community for so long, and he probably has a lot of Auras experience compared to a lot of other players that are kind of newer. So, for 5.5k, if you just get an easy like slot into Auras every week and probably win almost every week as well, I think it's a good
He
pickup.
plays really recent too.
True.
He played in the most recent DPL season.
True. He can play Sun and Moon as well. So yeah, they got the first 4 picks are really good. I think they just might have spent a little bit too much on the first 2 picks combined, with half their budget gone. But yeah,
I think Aster just like a nice like flex slot.
Yep. I agree for sure. Yeah. Next up we have Harris for 7k. No, I don't know why this. I think this is a pretty big steal. Maybe it's just because of recency bias, where Harris hasn't been doing like the greatest in terms of recent performances. But we know overall Harris is a good player. So for 7k, I think this is a pretty big steal. Thoughts?
I think it's a slot still.
Yeah.
The last season was really bad.
Yeah, true. But I mean, we'll get to it later. But we saw that Zern, he did way worse than anyone
Oh, dude,
would
Zern had his price increased after
Yeah,
going on.
we would like Zern did way worse than you would expect from anyone. Like even just some random min vid, Zern did worse there. Which I'm not like, smashing on Zern or anything. It's something that was completely surprising. So, and his price went up. So to see Harris's price go this low, even though he did like not great in the last season, is like pretty surprising.
Pretty sure he was better than Zern.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not, yeah. But yeah, Harris for 7k, I think slight steal. So they have like fixed their issue kind of with the overspending in the first 2 picks a little bit with their these last 2 picks with Aster and Harris. So yeah, pretty solid so far. And then the mock slaves, the 5ks, the newbies. I don't know how to say it. They're just a bunch of 5ks because they were forced into it because of how much they spent early on. Alphabet Boy, Turkey, Glop, OB3, and Checkmate. Now I've grouped all of these guys in together because they're all min bits and they're all relatively unproven in Draft League, I think. Or in like DPL terms anyway. They've all been around in Draft League for a while. In DPL terms, I think Alphabet Boy hasn't played yet, has he?
I know he hasn't.
Nope. Turkey has, and he's like, average kind of. So I think for 5k that's fine. Alphabet Boy, I guess we'll see what comes out of it. I think he's a good enough player, so if he gets to play a couple games, I think this is worth it. Glob,
I think they can give Alphabet Boy a good team, so they'll be fine.
yeah, for sure. I agree. Glob for 5k, I think this is another good pickup. Has Glob played?
I think Glob
DPL?
for 5k is a steal, I think. No, he hasn't, but I think he's just really good.
I think Glop is really good at Draft League too, but has he played any tours? I don't know if he's familiar with the 8-month format, like at all. Because I can't recall him playing a single tour.
I think actually team tour he's done is DPL.
Jeez. Okay. Well, all right. Well, I guess we'll see then. Because yeah, I don't really recall Glop doing any team tours. So if he's not familiar with the format, then this might be not great. But he's a good enough player. I'm sure he'll do fine. I think you're right that 5k is a steal for him. If he can just play as we expect him to play, I think 5k is a really good price. And he'll probably be in the starting 7, most likely.
He's starting week 1.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he is, right? Yeah. OB3 and Checkmate. OB3, he doesn't believe birds exist or something, so... that's about the extent of knowledge I have on OB3. I'm just kidding. He's been around in the draft league.
OB did pretty good in TDT.
Yeah, he did decent enough. So I think for 5k, again, min bid here. You don't really have anywhere to go down, so only way to go is up. Hopefully he does well enough for the team. And then same thing with Checkmate. I actually don't know Checkmate that much. Is he
I don't know anything.
I feel like he's that Smogon guy. I think I've seen his name on Smogon, but I'm not sure. I actually don't remember at all. Maybe he's a draft goon. I don't know. We'll see. I just don't know. So we're going to skip over it. Overall, what do you think? I think they might have overpaid a little bit on the first 2 picks, but they fixed it up with the steals that they got in Aster and Harris. And I think their starting 7 is pretty strong. And again, their cap core is probably one of the best, if not the best, in this entire season.
Yeah, I think considering that one of the captains can play away, it just seems really strong.
Yep, I agree. Like
also Maddie Gypsy Yak. That's a pretty strong first four.
Exactly. And like even if they have to go to tie breaks ever, like that's Zazo Gypsy is just going to win 100%, right? And they even just get to pick up like put in Aki.
Then you just throw in like Aki.
Yeah, exactly. Their whole like tie break 3 are insane. So yeah, it like we know that sometimes teams that have like really strong starting sevens end up having kind of weak tie breaks, or not weak tie breaks. They have bad depth, so that they end up being forced into go to tie breaks when they have to play 8 versus 8 in playoffs. But I think even if they do end up going yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. Our starting 7 didn't have a single negative record among all of us. Like all individual of our starting 7 didn't have a single negative record, and most of us went positive. But when we had to play the 8th game, we just didn't have the depth to put in that extra player to get us the win, so we were forced into tie breaks, and then some unfortunate events led to the loss. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be a problem for this team though, because they have Zazo, Gypsy, Aki just going into tie breaks if they have to, and then yeah, they're going to just win the tie breaks if they have to. But their starting 7 is really strong right off the bat.
Yeah, I think this team's like really well rounded considering how they spent like 70k on the first 3.
Yeah, I know. They spent like literally 80% of their budget in the first 3 pickups, and they still ended up with a really solid draft, just because they got Glop and Aster and Harris for such low prices. But yeah, we can move on to Trick of Eye, captained by II and Illusion. No introduction necessary for these two. They've both been captaining in like pretty much every single team tour you can imagine forever, and they've both always done decent. I think did they miss playoffs in TDT? I don't remember.
Our team did, but we were 1 win away from making playoffs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like starting from like a winless team going into mids.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so I guess varying success, but II and Illusion are probably pretty good. So yeah. I don't know. I think this is like a middle of the pack in terms of captain core. So, do you agree, disagree?
I agree. I is just really good, and Illusion's pretty active.
Yep.
Decent.
I agree.
Like,
All right. The first pickup, 26k Count Riario. Now, I think Count is a fine player, but 26k might be a bit of an overpay. I don't think I would pay more than 20k for Count. Maybe he's going to run it this season and he's going to be actually broken, but I think 26k might have been a bit of an overpay here.
I think it's fine. Didn't he have like a really good run last season?
Did he? I mean, I don't have his last season thing pulled up.
I'm pretty sure he won like 5-1 or something.
I can just look at his overall record. I can't find just his preview. Oh, actually, you know what? Overall, he is 20-12, which is a 62% win rate. So, you know what? Maybe that's fine. They dropped 20+k for someone with a 60% win rate, so I think that's good enough, honestly. I don't think I can fault them for that. So maybe he's just going to be performing better in DPL than most other tours because he's going to be trying harder. So, you know what? Maybe this is fine. I may have had it wrong then because I think from his previous Clash of Kings performance is what I'm basing off of. But I guess that's like some sort of recency bias where he didn't do the greatest. But, you know, maybe he just tryhards in DPL and this 26k is definitely warranted. So maybe, yeah, we'll see, I guess. Yeah, next to pick up, we have Youngster Bill for 25k. This is a good pickup. I think Bill is good. There's no doubting that, and 25k is probably worth it for Youngster Bill. So, yeah, I don't have much else to say there. What do you think?
You get a good player, and just someone who's like active himself is going to be there to support the team.
Yeah, for sure. Usually you get either very active or very good. You don't get both, but I think Youngster Bill, if he's very active, then this is an insane price for Youngster Bill because he's kind of broken as a player. So if he's active, it'll be really good. All right, so next up they got TJ for 7k. How do you feel about TJ? You can give your thoughts first.
I think TJ is. I think he's alright. I think 7k is like just exactly perfect for him.
I was about to say the same thing. I think if you were to name a price range, and you said, okay, I want you to pick a 7k player, I think I would say TJ, or maybe I'd say like TDG or something, or Word Life, or just because the uncertainty is there. We know that TJ can do good. It's just, will he do good? We don't know. Sometimes he does good, sometimes he does not great. He did really good in LC in the last season of Clash of Kings, but I don't really know how much that plays over into all standard formats. But yeah, I think I agree. 7K is totally fine for TJ.
Seems like a small change. Like, it really just comes down to playing ability for LC.
Yeah. True. Alright, next up they got Professor Chipboard for 22K. This is an absolute steal. I don't know why he went for only 22K. I think Chip is worth like 30K. This guy's actually broken, okay? This guy's one of the best ORS players in this entire pool. I don't know why people aren't realizing that, and they're like underpaying the hell out of Chipboard. I think Chip is just like an insane ORS player, so 22K is an absolute steal. I think this guy's easily worth 30K. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's really good. I think going for the 30K would have been completely fine.
Yeah, I don't understand why people let it go for 22K. I think Chip is insanely good at ORS. This is probably an easy ORS win every week for this team, just because they can slot in Chip, and yeah. Not much else to say there. We can just move on to Skyhorse for 8.5K. Now, Skyhorse is fine, though I'm not entirely certain he's like that consistent. And by that, I mean sometimes he does good, sometimes he just does like not great. I think if we look at his overall record, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, his overall record is 7-6. His
overall record should be like
he's 7-6.
Yeah, right.
So he is positive, but just barely. He's at 53.85% win rate, which is good enough. So I guess for 8K, I think that's what you pay for. You pay for someone who's like most likely going to go positive, and sometimes he's gonna go negative. Sometimes he's not gonna do that great. But for 8.5K, I think that's probably okay. So I think this is a good price.
I think it's honestly still like it's on.
Really, you think it's a steal?
Like, he's like really good. He's really good team support, and like most of the time he'll do fine at least.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that's fair. Yeah. Most of the time he will do relatively good, and if he's active, then yeah, this is totally worth it. Next up, they got Odin for 6.5K. Is this his first time playing in DPL? I don't remember. Is it this Odin's first time?
He played last season. He played last season. I think he got like a really hard opponent the one week he played.
Oh yeah. I remember now. He did play one game last season. He did lose, but I think Odin's a good player. So for 6.5K, I think this is a pretty good pickup there.
I think 6.5K is like just about right.
Yeah, I agree. This is a newer player in terms of DPL, so I think for 6.5K, you pick up someone who you're not entirely sure they'll perform, but from what you've seen in other draft leagues or other team tours, he's just a really good player. And I think I agree with that because Odin has done
he's pretty active.
Pretty good in when he was on my team in DDT. He was one of our star players where we knew that we can slot in Odin every week and he would perform not badly at the very least. So yeah, I think for 6.5K, I think this is good. Next up, we have TDNT for 7K. Now, TDNT comes from Smogon, I believe, and I think he has quite a bit of draft experience now. So for 7K, I think this might be a little bit of a steal because he's a
really good in cash.
Yeah, I think he made top 16, right? Or top 32 or whatever?
Something around that range, yeah.
For 7K, this might be a pretty big steal because he's a really good player, like playing ability-wise, and he's been in the draft league long enough to know that there are certain sets for certain mons and how the interplay between prepping and playing goes hand in hand. So I think for 7K, this is a pretty big steal. I think TDNT is a really good player, and he has had enough experience to know the ins and outs of draft league. So yeah, agree? Disagree?
I agree.
Okay, Baconborn, absolute GOAT. Oh my god, this guy is destroying LD minors right now. I think he's like undefeated or something. He's actually broken.
I'm pretty sure him and Panda got the auto promotion.
Yeah, he's actually broken. Oh my god, Bacon is insane. Okay, and he does like relatively well in most DPL seasons too. So for 6K, I think that's a really good pickup. What do you think?
I think he went for a 6K only because he said he's not available until after May.
Oh, okay, I see. I'm like, yeah, this is a pretty good pickup there. But I guess if he's not,
6K is still, I think it's still good though to reserve like a big one.
For sure, they did fill out their entire roster, so I don't think they'll have a hard time filling out their starting 7 for the first 3 weeks before mids or anything. So yeah, I think that's fine.
One of the captains and like everyone on the team can play good.
True, I agree. Yep. Oh, actually, their starting 7 is pretty good, huh? They go like Count Riario, Bill, Chip. How many is that? TDNT? Is that 5? Count, Bill, 1, 2, 3, Chip, TDNT. That's 5, and then they only need to fill out 2 more. spots. I guess it would be ideal to have Bacon or Skyhorse, right? Yeah, Skyhorse and Bacon would be ideal. But I guess Odin can also go in there, and TJ can go in there too. So yeah, I think this is a pretty decent starting 7, no matter how you look at it. So we can move on to Scythemon. I don't know who this is. Do you?
I also don't.
Yeah, this guy's new. Or maybe he's a Smogon player. I have no idea. I've never seen this name in my life. No offense to Mr. Scythemon if you're watching this. We just don't know you, so we're going to skip over you. Their last pickup is Will the RNG Lord for 5k. I think this is okay, good enough. I don't know how much...
5k, it's fine. He's super slutty.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be active and he's going to help out the team. I don't know how much playtime he'll see, but he's going to help out the team in whatever way necessary. So I think for 5k, that's good enough. So yeah, overall, I think like we said, the starting 7 is pretty good here. If Bacon actually can't play until mids, that might be a little bit of an issue, because ideally I think they would like to put Bacon in the starting 7. So their first 3 weeks might be a little shaky, but if Bacon, as soon as Bacon can play, I think their starting 7 will be solid enough to get them the wins required to win most weeks. You agree?
I agree. I think this team's like, I like the depth this team has.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I think they can easily, if they had to go into tie breaks, I think they can like easily put in 8 people, and they wouldn't have to like drop a sweat about like, oh, we don't know if our 8th player is gonna do too well, because their 8th players are like Odin and TJ and Skyhorse and Baconboard and TDNT, or like some mix of those would be their 8th player, and that all of them are good enough to, you know, play the game. But yeah, we can move on to PoryGod Squad, captained by Ian and Sharky. Now, I think this is probably the second weakest cap core, maybe, in terms of playing ability compared to the other team, compared to the other players on this season of DPL. That's not to say they're bad or anything, because Sharky's obviously
it's weird.
goated
like,
in terms
Ian
of.
And Sharky are both like really.
Sorry, go ahead.
So it's weird, because Ian and Sharky are both like really good.
Yeah,
I think it might be like slightly better than like Trick of Eye.
Well, because we're comparing one captain to one captain, right? Because I think it's probably going to be Sharky playing most of the weeks, and it's going to be II playing most of the weeks. Do you think II is worse than Sharky?
I don't know.
Because I don't want to like say either of these players are bad, because they're not. They're really freaking good. Obviously Sharky destroys every team tour that's not DPL. I think last season he went 1 and 2 in DPL, so that's not great. But literally every other team tour he goes like 8-0, 7-0, 7-1. Yeah, and he did win. He did win last season too. That's true. He clutches it up. So he's really freaking good at this game, and we've seen him perform absolutely amazingly. That being said, I think just comparing them to all the other players, like, who do we have? We have Rob Jr., we have Zazo, we have II, we have like K-Crick or John W, both of them are good. We have Rye, and then I think Doombringers are the other team that's might be worse than PoryGod Squad in terms of captain core playing ability, but yeah, Vino, I guess, and then they have like Drop 15 or Kaz. So I think in that list of 1 players from each team, I think Sharky falls on the lower end there. Do you agree or disagree?
Probably.
Yeah. That, again, not to say that Sharky's bad or anything. He's absolutely destructive. We've seen him perform like amazingly. Just in comparison to the other captains, I think he's on the lower end here. But yeah, I guess we can move on to the first pick with Wombo for 26k. I think this is a totally good pickup here. Slight steal, I think. Wombo's probably worth 30k, maybe a bit more, just because he performs so well in most team tours. I think the only time he doesn't perform well is in like Clash of Kings low tier or something, but he always drafts like the wackest shit in low tier. I think he just wants to do that for fun. Whenever he actually try hards and shit, he goes insane. I've had first-hand experience with him on AIQ. He actually is broken when he try hard, so yeah, I think 26k might be a slight underpay.
I think he's a guaranteed do something.
Yeah, no, that is true too. Last season in USM, he destroyed literally everyone. Did he go undefeated? I can't remember. I think he won like USM. No, he didn't. I don't remember. He just did really good.
I don't know. In worst case, he had like 1 loss.
Yeah, for sure. Like, this is a really good pickup with their first pick. Not much else to say there. So we can move on to Pyronox for 16k. I think Pyro is broken. I don't know if the
steal.
Yeah, this is an actual steal. I don't know if the rest of the draft league community has caught on or not. but Pyro is actually insane, okay? He never has bad
Pyro's
performances.
coded in every tour he's played.
He destroys everyone in every single tour he ever plays in, and he never performs badly, okay? 16k is actually a stupid, like, low price for Pyro. I think Pyro's
I
easily
think you should
worth...
go for 20k at least.
No, he's worth way more. He's worth like 25k to 30k. Pyro is probably top 10 players in Draft League right now, and that's like no joke. I think Pyro is actually broken. So I don't know, 60k is insanely low for this guy. Just we can look at his like performances across any single team tour, and he always does good. He always destroys any player that comes at him, good or bad, and he just consistently does well. So I don't know why only 16k is being paid for Pyro. I think maybe the Draft League community just hasn't caught on to how broken Pyro actually is. I guess we'll see after this season. I think Pyro's gonna perform really well again this season, like 6-1 or 7-0 even, or something crazy. And then yeah, he's gonna be going for 25-30k next season.
Yeah.
All right, so next up we have TC for 17.5k.
That's another.
You think it's a
This is
steal?
once in OAS.
Oh, true. Yeah, I hadn't. Oh, yeah, this is multi-gen. True. Yeah. In ORAS, TC's probably one of the better players. So for 17k, I think this is probably a slight steal. I think he's probably worth around 20k, right? You agree?
I'd say so. Like, he's not the most active, but he'll win his games. Like, no issues.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he should be an almost guaranteed win every week, unless he goes up against another of the like broken ORAS players. But if he goes against
unless he fights like Gypsy.
Yeah, unless he plays like Gypsy or Chipboard, I think he's gonna easily take the win in ORAS against most players. So 17.5k, pretty good price there. Not much to say there. Next up, we have Pichu Bros for 10k. I don't know how to feel on this one.
He just won Clash.
He did just win Cash Gang, right?
He won Cash Gang and he won Clash. He's
Oh,
on fire.
true. He did just win Cash Gang and Clash. Holy smokes, this guy's on a roll. Though, there's something to be said about his Cash Gang performances.
I mean, like, a win is a win.
Yeah, true. Win is a win. We don't have to go too far into it, but a little bit of background. I'm pretty sure he lucked through. Yeah, he lucked through most of his top 16 games, I want to say. So, you know, if you pay for luck, you pay for luck. If you can win the game,
he made
then
top 16 in the first place.
yeah. If you can win the game, it doesn't matter how you do it. You know, luck involved or not. If you get a really lucky player, then I think that's good enough for 10k. And he's not a bad player. I know I'm like joking around and saying he's lucky, but he's not bad. He's not lucky and bad. Okay, I want to make it very clear.
He won like top 500 last time.
Yeah. I want to make it very clear that he's not lucky and bad. He's lucky and decent. So that's a pretty good combo to have there. Yeah. Next up we have Phil Nilsson. Okay, for 9k. Big Phil himself. Active as all hell. Though it is summertime, so we'll see if he's gonna be active or not. But usually we aren't accustomed to being. We are accustomed to seeing Phil be very, very active and supportive of his team. So if he's that level of active and supportive this season, then I think 9k is a pretty good price, and he can play well too. So yeah, I don't know what to say.
I think I'll just do like about like average, maybe slightly above average.
Agreed. Yeah, not much to say there. If he's active, he's going to be worth the price. If he's not active, then he probably isn't going to be worth the price. Yeah, we can move on to Hunter Z for 11k. I think that's a fine pickup. He's good enough to play USM.
I think it's a weird pick. I think it's a weird pick with Wombo and Pyro being like stupid good at USM, but
yeah, I think
like move Pyro like Sword and Shield, it's fine with Hunter.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe Pyro would like have to slot into Sword and Shield sometime, or maybe they'll just need to have a sub for Wombo or Pyro sometime, and then they can just throw in Hunter Z. It's just like a good backup pick to have for 11k, I guess. Yeah, I don't really know much else to say. That he's a fine player. He can play USM to pretty good degree, I want to say. So yeah, I don't know what else to say there. We can move on to Almighty Gohan for 19.5k. This is a fair price for Gohan, I think. 20k for Gohan is good enough. He's a good player. He's gonna be in the starting 7 most likely, and he's gonna get the wins most of the time, I want to say. So yeah, good pick up there. You agree?
The thing with Gohan, I think he's just super streaky.
Really?
Yeah.
You think sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad?
Yeah, I don't know. At the very least, he'll be like, at the very least, he'll be super active. But like 20k for someone who just inconsistent as Gohan, it's weird.
Wait, is he
Like,
actually
he's
inconsistent?
obviously,
I thought he always does like pretty well. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me see.
like,
I can just. Okay, so well, wait, what the heck? He only played 3 games in DPL.
no, wait, are you looking over U7 Gohan?
No, just overall. He only played 3
No,
games.
you U7 for me. Oh, weird.
That is okay. Well, he did 2-1. I thought he played way more. Maybe I'm just weird. I don't know. Okay, well 2-1. I guess that's
I
what you
think it's
go
because
off
he's
of.
sad last season.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he is streaky. I thought he always did consistent, but maybe not. Yeah, I guess we'll see here for 20k. Whatever.
How did he do in LG? I know he did pretty bad in the World Team.
Oh, did he? Maybe. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. But 20k, I think he's a good player, so I think it's worth it here. I think
it's a gamble, but I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think you can slot in Gohan into the starting 7. I don't think most people would disagree with that. Like, if I'm like, okay, I need to put someone in my starting 7, and I pick Gohan, I think most people would be like, yeah, that's a good choice, right?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah. All right. Then yeah, we can
I think it's a bit much, but it's just like worst case will be active, like whatever.
Sure. For sure. Yeah, we can move on to GCS for 8.5k. I think this is a good enough pickup. He didn't do too great last season in DPL. I want to say he went like 0-3 or something.
I think it was 0-2. I think.
0-2.
He just had a really good last season.
Yeah, true. He did do extremely well in Clash of Kings, though. We know. I know. I was on his team. Okay, he destroyed literally everyone. So he's a good player. And on AIQ in Season 3, he was a good player. He clutched it up many times for us. So I think 8.5k is good enough for GCS. He's been proven to do well, and recently he's done well in Clash of Kings. So yeah, I think this is a fine pickup. Not much else to say. You agree?
I think it's good. And they have 2.5k left for mids, so they want to drop somebody.
Yeah, if they wanted to drop someone that isn't working out, they can drop someone, and they'd get a good chunk back, because all their players are like more than 5k, so they'll get like a decent amount back to fight for whoever they want in mids.
They should have control of whoever they want.
Yeah,
like, if someone doesn't work out, I think this team should be like completely fine. But like if somebody like this doesn't work out, it's whatever.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Yeah. So next up, we can move on to Mystic Kings, captained by K-Crack and John W. Now, I think this is probably the second best team overall. This is an insane cap core.
They're similar. Yeah, they're similar to Zaza Matty.
Yeah,
except they
very.
play more.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like Jesus, this is an insane cap core. I think this might be the best cap core in this entire tour. I think both these players can just switch up. And, one player gets an off week, the other player gets to play, and then they switch around, and one person provides as much like team support, and one player wins, and they can just go back and forth, so that neither of them are burnt out in one fashion or the other, and they're both able to do both. So this is an insane cap core. Yeah, I don't know what to say. This is just broken. And their first pickup, iPro for 13k. They're gonna slot him into Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. He's gonna win most of the time. He's a really good player.
The Theo Slayer.
He is the Theo Slayer. I think I'm 0-2 or 0-3 versus iPro now. I don't know what he does. He gets into people's heads and then you can't get him out. That's just the best way I can describe it. Like every time I play him, oh my God, you should watch the game from last season in DPL. He got into my head turn 1. Oh my God, he got into my turn. He got into my head turn 1. Yeah, he got volt switch on my incoming torn, and then he pursued my torn with Aerodactyl as I switched it out. And I just lost a torn for no mileage. I did 0 damage to his things, and he just removed my torn. So I was playing 5 versus 6 on the second turn of the game. And once he gets into your head, yeah, once he gets into your head, you can't get him out. So I think for 13k, this is a really good pickup.
I think it's also a steal for iPro.
For sure, I agree 100% because the 13k for pretty much most likely going to win like 80% of his USM games. I think this is good. Yeah, we can move on to Jake for 22k. The biggest sweat.
Here's another steal.
Yeah, I think this guy's gonna sweat super hard because we know he sweats super hard in DPL. Okay, everyone knows that Jake might be the sweatiest player in all of Draft League when it comes to DPL. So He's a good player. Like I said, you usually don't get really, really active and really, really good, but with Jake you get both, and I think that's something like really rare, because I think Jake is a good player. He can play any game and he has a shot to win it no matter who he's playing. So that's where you pay like 15k, and then you can probably pay another like 15k just on his activity and prep support and helpfulness to the team overall. So he's probably worth around 30k.
He gets along really well with John W too.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is going to be very synergetic with John W, K Crick, iPro as well. This is a just great team so far. Yeah, next up we have Josh for 11k. How do you feel about Josh?
I think he's a game ball at this point. Didn't he like disappear or something?
Wait, did he? I thought he was back. No?
Yeah, he's back now, but I don't know. He had a really bad class season, is my main concern.
True. Yeah, he didn't do too great. But I think for 11k, it's probably fine. I think, you get a good enough player. He's capable of winning.
I think for 11k, it's a fine gamble.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think you're correct in saying that it is a slight gamble there. With we don't know how well he's going to perform, but for 11k, if we get lucky and he performs good, then 11k is an underpay. So, yeah, good pickup there. Next up, we have Finchinator for 30k. Finch is a absolutely insane player. He is really, really good in terms of playing. And he did really good in the first cash gang, or second cash gang. I don't know how the circuit thing compares to like the original cash gang, because there was cash gang and there was cash gang circuit 1, and then there was the cash gang 2. I don't remember which one he did really good in, but he did really good in one of them.
I think.
Yeah, he did. I think it was the first one. This cash gang 1 non-circuit. He did really good, and he had just Jake prepping for him, and Finch was destroying everyone just because he was a really good player. Yeah, and they got Jake now, so Jake's gonna prep for Finch, and for 30k, I think he's gonna be winning probably most of his games. Yeah.
Unless he's gonna be winning more than he loses at least.
Yeah, for sure. Unless he goes against another Titan in whatever tier he plays, like Gypsy King or something, then he's probably gonna be winning most of his games. Yeah, I don't know. No much else to say there. Finch is just really good, and I think with the support that he's gonna get from Jake and John W and K Crick, and yeah, he's just gonna have absolute team support, and he's gonna destroy everyone because his playing ability is just so high above most other people in this tour. Next up, they have Sebi VGC for 9k. Absolute steal, okay? I don't know. Yeah, what happened here, okay? We saw Sebi actually destroy literally everyone last season in DPL, and they just decided, yeah, who cares? This is another like Pyro situation. I don't understand where the captains went when thinking, oh, Sebi, yeah, he's worth less than 10k, because he's not, okay? He's worth like 18k. Yeah, he's worth like 20k, dog. I don't know why you're letting someone get Sebi for 9k. This is an absolute steal. He's gonna win most of his games, so yeah, this is a really good pickup. I'm lost for words when it comes to these kind of pickups. Like same with Pyro, same with Sebi. Like Pyro and Sebi, they both should be going for 10k more than what they went for, and they just didn't. They just got him at such low discount rates. So I don't know, really big pickup here, and this team's like shaping out amazingly. Next up, they have Itzia for 10k. This is a fine pickup, though I do remember hearing that Itzia can't play until mids.
He's like Bacon Born.
Yeah, he can't play until mids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Itzia for 10k is good enough, though. I don't think this team will have an issue finding 7 players. This team is just actually insane.
Dude, everyone on this team is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, worst player on this team is like averaging tabs.
Literally. Oh, man, that's crazy. This team is insane. Yeah, Itzia for 10k, even if he can't play until mids, that's totally okay. And once mids hits and Itzia can play, 10k is an underpay for Itzia, so yeah, really good pickup there. Next up we have Craig, or 100% Pure Heat. He needs to L2P. If you haven't heard my song about him, you should go listen to it, because he's always losing.
Description.
Yeah, he's always losing, but I did tell him not to go 0-3, and he didn't go 0-3, so that's something. But anyway, jokes aside, I think Craig is a fine player.
I think for 11k it's fine.
Yeah, for 11k this is a totally fine pickup. We saw him pick up his stride when he was slotted into Oras last season. He was just playing Sword and Shield for some reason in the first few weeks, and he wasn't doing too great. But as soon as he started playing Oras, I don't think he even lost a single Oras game. Like as soon as he went into Oras, he just started winning. So maybe we'll see something similar here. He was just finding his stride in Draft League overall. So I think Now that he understands how Draft League works to some extent, he should just be able to win most of his games, regardless of what gear he plays. Though I don't know if he plays USM at all, but we do know that he can play Sword and Shield and Oras to a pretty good extent, so he can flex in between those two slots wherever the team needs it, and this is a fine pickup. Yeah. Next up we have Undead for 7k. This might be a little bit of this might be a little bit of a meme pickup. I don't really understand it, though. I'm not saying that Undead is bad by any means, because he's not terrible. He's good enough to be picked up, I think. And for 7.5k, you don't really risk anything, just because your top of the roster already is so insane. You're not really risking anything by picking up Undead for 7k. I don't know if he's going to be playing that much or at all, though. If he can provide even some team support, I think this is worth it. Same with Caps.
And that's probably one of the others, like, sweatiest DPL people.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they have Jake plus Undead now. And Undead will provide 30 mocks for each person, and Jake will provide 30 teams in terms of prep support, and 30 essays on how to execute the team for every single person. So, yeah, they got the Wombo combo. Well, they don't have Wombo, but they got the really good combo in Jake and Undead here, going with prep support and mock support. So, that's really good. Same with Caps. Caps is really active, and he is a good player. So for 5k, this is a totally good pickup.
Yeah, I think Caps is honestly just like mini Undead. In terms of swag.
Though I do think Caps might be even better as a player for Undead. So if they have to play someone that wouldn't be in the top half of the roster, it would. Well, I think they have like instant players. They have K-Crick, John W, iPro, Jake, Josh, Finch, Sebi, Itzia, 100. That's already what 9 players. Well, I guess 8 players because not both captains can play. So that's all their 8, but even if something happens, they can just throw in Cavs, and yeah, that's totally good. So yeah, I think this is a really good team. I think this might be almost the best team. I do think there is one team that we'll get to that I think is better. What do you think? But I think at the very least this is the second best team overall. What do you think?
I think this team is really good. I think the worst of the team is just going to be good, and I think it's going to be great if Josh performs.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. But I think they will perform. I don't know. I just have a feeling this team is so broken. Though we do know that John W.
Jake's also good. Jake and John W. are both cursed, I think.
Yeah. I think we do know that John W. is cursed. So we'll see if the curse plays out. if these guys don't make finals, or if these guys lose in tie breaks of finals, I think I will have sufficient evidence to conclude that John W. is cursed. Okay, like I think when you do stats, you learn about frequency distribution and a sufficient sample size to determine or to reject the null hypothesis. Okay, I think we can sufficiently say that John W. is cursed if they go into finals, tie breaks, and John W.'s team loses. Okay, I think I've just seen it happen way too many times to not realize
this
how
team's tie break is pretty broken to like K-Crick or John W, Finch, and like Jake.
Yeah.
Or Sebi.
Yeah. Or iPro. Okay?
Or iPro, yeah.
This is an absolutely broken tiebreak. Oh my god. Insane team. Alright. Yeah, I guess we can move on to the Rose Garrison, captained by HJ, Sean, and Rai. Now, this is my personal favorite team, just because I like all the players on this team, and I think they're all good. Or really good prep support, though I don't think they're the best team. I think all these players are really solid. So I think these guys will easily make playoffs, but yeah, I don't think they're like the best team or the second best team, but I think these guys are most likely going to make playoffs. And their captains are pretty good too. I think AJ Sean will provide really, really good team support, so I think that's good, and Rai is a really good player, so I think they got that like pair pretty locked on in terms of who's going to be playing every week and who's going to be providing the prep support. And yeah, I think that's pretty clear that Rai will be playing most weeks and AJ Sean will be providing the support. Do you agree?
I agree.
Alright then. Yeah, okay, we can go on to their first pick then. For 42k, King L5, I think, like I said, this is the only other guy that I would be willing to pay more than 40k for. And they did. I think this is a fine price. L5 did win MVP last season, and for good reason. He just outperformed everyone else. And if he can do it again this season, then yeah, I think this is a totally good price. You?
I think it's a bit much, but Albert used to be like extremely good.
Yeah, I can't imagine L5 losing to most players, so that's always a good sign. When you think, oh wait, who beats L5, and you don't like immediately think of anyone, I think that's a pretty good sign of a good player. So yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, next up we have Silver Smasher for 14k. I'll let you go first this time. What do you think?
I think Silver for 14k is like, I think he's just a good player for in the 14k range.
Yeah, I agree. I
He
think
should do really good in ORS.
yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think this is an easily ORAS slot, or maybe even USM slot, right? I think Silver has played Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon a couple times. I don't remember.
I think it's preferred to his ORS, I think.
Yeah, I think you're correct there. So I think this is an easy ORAS slot, and he'll do well. So yeah, 14k is fine. Next up we have Blitz for 8.5k. Now this is, in my opinion, quite a steal. We saw him do absolutely terrific last season of DPL, and I don't know why he only went for 8.5k. I think just based on his most recent performance, I think I would probably be willing to pay like 15k.
Wait, didn't you go for more last DPL?
Yeah, I don't understand what's up with the captains this time. Like, I really don't get it. But yeah, this is an absolute steal. For 8.5k, I don't really know why he went for this low. Because we know that he can consistently perform. We've seen him do well in TDT. He did absolutely wonderful in Clash of Kings, right? He went 5-0 or something. I'm pretty sure he went 5-0. Yeah,
he was one of the candidates for subscription.
Yeah, he did. He went 5-0 in like the last Clash of Kings. So I don't really understand how he only went for 8.5k, but you know what? Whatever. That absolute steal. Really good player. He's gonna another ORAS slot that's easy to put in. He's gonna win most of his games, I think. So yeah, good pickup. You agree?
I agree. So no.
Yeah.
He just like smashed me in this one of these solo tours I'm in as well.
Yeah. So all facts. I don't really know why he only went for this little, but anyway, we can move on to Money Guy. For 10.5k. I think it's a fine pickup. Money Guy's good enough to go for 10 to like 15k.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think at worst I'll do average and he can pop off.
Yeah, I don't think he'll go negative by any means, so I think this is good. Right? You agree with that, or?
Hey, I agree.
Okay, then yeah, for 10.5k, good player. Not much else to say. We can move on to George for 11k.
You get the luckiest.
You get the luckiest player in Draft League. All right, we've seen the George time memes, and they're for a good reason. He does have a good fair amount of luck come his way when he needs it to. That being said, he's also just a really good player. Like, he can play his games.
Yeah.
And the only reason he gets lucky is because he positions himself. Like, he can put... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's also just like super consistent at the level he plays at.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I was saying, the only reason he's able to get as lucky as he does is because he can position himself into positions where if luck goes his way, he just is in a really good spot. And most players actually can't do that just because they don't think of the positioning of how they want to play the game like that far ahead. And I think George has that capacity to like think very far ahead and decide, okay, this is how I need to execute my game plan in order to win the game, and if I'm in a losing spot, this is how I need to execute my game plan in order to have a chance of winning. So yeah, I think for 11k that's a fine pickup. Next up we have Devin for 10k. I think this guy's good. He hasn't played in DPL yet, so we'll see how he compares to the rest of the competition in DPL, but I think Devin is a pretty good player at the very least, so 10k is probably worth it. What about you?
I think for 10k it's fine. Like, so Devin's been like, he's been popping up like everywhere. Like, he's been like, he's been grinding.
Yeah, he has been grinding. He's been playing in as many team tours as possible. He's been getting more and more exposed to draft league format, and yeah, I think with that exposure, his natural playing ability should come into play. And if he's just if he gains enough experience, I think he'll be one of the better players overall in the draft community. So for 10k, I think this is a fine pickup.
Yeah, it's also like in the first league and like check out his launcher, he just won that with like ease.
Yeah, true. He did. He just got put into the middle. How do you say it? The middle tier? Wait, what's? Oh, middle division.
Middle division.
Yeah, the middle division of Trick House, and he just destroyed everyone with ease. So yeah, that goes to show his like raw playing ability. And if he just has the right prep support here, I think he can compete with most of the competition in DPL. But yeah, we can move on to Habida for 11k. Absolutely fine pickup here. For 11k, Habida's goated. Okay, we know that he does really well when you need him to. he subbed in for us in finals for
Wasn't
Clash of
even
Kings.
the team server.
Yeah, and he just absolutely destroyed, and he, won the game just with like 5 minutes notice. So imagine what he can do when you give him a whole week of prep time. Actually, we don't have to imagine. We know what he can do. He played in TDT, and he won him.
Didn't he do really good in TDT?
Yeah, he did. He did absolutely amazing in TDT, and he won Zazo's team the chip just because he was able to come off the bench and win the game when he had sufficient prep support and whatnot. So yeah, really good pickup there. Yeah, I don't know what to say unless you have something to add, Hacker.
Not really.
Okay, yeah, good
Yeah,
pickup.
I think you got like spot on.
Yeah, 11k, good pickup there. I think he can easily go into the starting 7, or he can come off the bench and pick up the win. Whatever you need him to do, he'll do. So, good pickup. The last 2 players, Aldi and Endless Gadgets, I'm going to group them in together because I don't believe they'll see too much playing time, but they're absolutely going to be like very active and very good prep support and team support overall for this team. Yeah, I think for 10k combined, these 2 players are just going to drive the activity of the server up. They're going to be providing as many mocks as possible, as much help as possible in whatever way necessary. So I think this is 2 fine pickups. Do you agree, disagree?
I agree. I think 5k for Ollie honestly might be a slide still. He's not the person who's like been doing like really good as well lately.
Oh, okay. I haven't really seen that much of his recent performances, but yeah, I believe you. He's like a fine player, but I don't think both these players are going to be playing too often, but I think they're going to be providing really well in terms of team support. So yeah, pretty decent team overall. Like I said, this is my favorite team, just in terms of the players on it. I think they're probably going to make playoffs, but I don't think they're like the best team or anything. Yeah, what are your overall thoughts on this team, Hacker?
I think this team is I think it's well rounded. Like everyone on this team is like fine.
Yeah.
At worst.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
got probably like the top 2 players in the player pool for L5.
Mm-hmm. Literally, they did. It was Gypsy and L5, and they got L5. So good pickup. Yeah, we can move on to the Doombringers, captained by Vino and Blue. Now this is the probably worst cap core in terms of playing ability, but probably one of the better ones in terms of prep support, I want to say. I think both these players are active and they're going to be providing for their team, but I think in terms of playability, I think this is probably the worst one because either Vino or Blue aren't going to be able to compare to any of the players that would be playing from the other teams, I think. Your thoughts?
I agree. I think like Blue's like pretty good, but Venom's like pretty average, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's not to bash on them. I think overall, draft community-wise, I think both these players are good.
Everyone who's the captain of this tournament is good.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that in comparison to the other captains, they might be lower on the spectrum or higher on the spectrum. I think these guys are on the lower end of the spectrum. So, yeah. With their first pickup, they got AM22 for 23k. So sad. They ruined it. They could have gone for 22k. Damn.
Dude, it's on North ruined it.
Yeah. Damn it, North. You suck. Why'd you do that? We could have got AM22, 22k. Oh well.
Every time it just didn't stop.
Anyway, for 23k, I think this is a fine pickup. AM22 is a good player.
Yeah, for 23k, Aim's like pretty good. He'll win in a rush most weeks.
Yep, exactly. He's gonna win most of the time, and yeah, not much else to say there. I really want to get to the next player here, Zern, for 25.5k, 09, and then he goes for higher. Oh my god, this is like some kind of fairy tale, okay? This is the redemption arc. He needs to go 9-0 now, okay? That's the only way I can imagine this is redeemable, okay? For 25k after an 09 season, this dude better go 9-0. There's no shot.
I think that's a testament to like how good. He's obviously better than the 09 record shows, but it's just funny.
Yeah, literally.
Like, he's obviously good at the game.
He's just really good at the game, and it just goes to show that people recognize that he's really good at the game. So for 25k, I think this is a fine price. If you just heard Zern and you're like, well, what would I be willing to pay for him? I'd be like, yeah, probably 25k. And you saw this price and you wouldn't be surprised. Just that if you look at his last DPL performance, and then you look at his price there, and it was less than 25k. It's just really funny to see that he went up after a very bad season. Yeah. But anyway, he's a good player. He's probably going to be winning most of his games. I think last season it was just like...
He play all tiers too, right?
Yeah, he can play anything. So
he's also just really good flex lad.
Yeah,
they want
exactly.
to put like AM and Lapis in or else, and they can just move Zern to use some of their stage.
Yeah, exactly. So I think last season was just kind of a mix of unluckiness and maybe a lack of motivation or something, because he probably should have went like 4 and 5 because he probably got hacked out of 4 or 5 of his games. So, yeah.
His luck was really bad.
Yeah, it was just a series of unfortunate events last season. So if his luck isn't terrible this time around, I think this is a fine price for Zern. Yeah, we can move on to Lapis for 17.5k. How do you feel about Lapis here?
I think his price is just about right. I think Lapis is just like more times than not, Lapis will win in OS.
Yeah, I agree. I think you hit it on the head. I think this is a fine price for Lapis, and like you said, more often than not, they will go positive. So, yeah, good pickup, 17.5k. Not that much else to say there. Yeah, we can move on to Royer, or however you want to pronounce this name. It's Superior, right? Superior, so backwards would be...
Yeah, it's a backwards Superior, yeah.
I don't know how you would say Superior backwards.
Superior. It's just Royer.
So it would be Royer, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
Royer.
how it would be at the end anyways.
Yeah. Whatever, it's Royer. For 16k, I think this might be a slight overpay, just because in DPL he hasn't had the greatest track record, I think. In fact, he might be negative. I don't know, but I can check right now. Hold on. Yeah, so his combined record is 4-5, so he's negative overall in DPL. But
he's obviously better than the record shows.
Yeah, he's easily better than the record shows, and he's gonna be super active and like throwing out as many ideas as possible. The one thing I've noticed about
Rory, he have a really good TDT performance.
Yeah, he did absolutely wonderful in TDT. He was one of the people that carried DDB to the chip, going like 6-0 or 5-1 or something. So
yeah, they ended for 5k.
Yeah, they got him for 5k too. That was pretty crazy. True. But yeah, like I was saying, one thing I've noticed about Royer is that he will throw as many ideas as possible at the wall, and something will stick just because he can think outside the box so well, and he just has like some innate ability to think of prep that no one else can. And not most of the time, but like some percentage of the time, that prep is really, really good and no one else sees it, but he's able to see it because he's throwing out so many ideas over and over again. And then once you hear that one really good idea, you realize how really good it is. And yeah, most of the time you'll see that one like amazing gem just because the quantity of ideas that he throws out there. So I think this is a pretty decent pickup here.
Yeah, I think teammates like him are like really good to have. Like if you struggle like trying to get like usage out of him on, Roy can probably find something that'll work for it.
Yep, exactly. Like any matchup is winnable with Royer prep, because he just has so many like crazy ideas that you can come out of any matchup thinking, oh, I actually have a shot to win this, even if you thought it was unwinnable at the beginning. But yeah, we can move on to Ice for 9.5k. Now, Ice might be a little bit of a controversial pickup here because he has been known to be pretty dead in everything, but he has recently been quite active in terms of how active he is on the team, prep support, talking in the server, anything team related. He has been on a streak of being pretty active. I think in PWS and TDT and Clash of Kings, he's always been pretty active from what I've heard of his teammates. Have you heard the same thing, or are you still under the notion that he's usually dead?
Well, he's certainly more active than he used to be, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Before he used to be very, very dead, and now he's somewhat active at the very least. So for 9k, I think this is a good pickup.
He stopped up his activity because he stopped getting picked because of like how like dead he is known to be.
Yeah, exactly. But he's a good player. Like if you can get him to play, he's gonna perform. So I think 10k is a fine player here.
Yeah, it's weird. Isn't he? How did he do in? He did pretty bad for getting picked up mids last season, though, right?
Yeah, though he was dead last season, right? So yeah, if his activity is there,
he got picked as like he got picked up as because of his activity last season, I think.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
so.
All right. If his activity is there, I think he's gonna be this is a fine pickup. Yeah, not much else to say, I don't think.
I think it's kind of a gamble, but for 9.5k, it's not like a huge risk.
Exactly. It's not like you're paying 20k for a coin flip or anything, so this is a fine pick. Next we have Ace of Games for 7k. Now I actually don't know this guy because he's apparently an oldie. Okay, he's been around in the draft community before I got here, but he hasn't played in the time that I got here. Do you know him?
Didn't he replace in all the majors? I think.
Yeah, he did. He replaced someone, but he's apparently been in the draft league community for quite a while, and I just haven't ever seen him because he stopped playing for a while, I guess.
He took a break.
Oh, okay. Have you seen any of his games before he went away, or?
Not really. My only knowledge of him really just as a player is that he replaced some LD majors.
Okay, well, LD Majors is a decent pool of players, so if he's good enough for that, I think 7K is a fine pickup. Yeah, I guess we can move on to Pi for 7K. Now, Pi always does really, really good early seasons, okay? TDT, Clash of Kings, DPL. No matter what it is, he always goes like 3-0 or something. Pre-mids, and then I don't know what it is. Lack of motivation, maybe that 1 week off really just stops his momentum or whatever, and then he just does really not great. I think last season of DPL, he literally went 4-0 in the first 4 weeks, and then after that, he just went on like some kind of tilt, and he lost his next 3 games or something. But for 7K, I think if you're getting someone who's gonna most likely go positive or at least break even, I think that's a fine pickup.
But last season, I don't know, his team is, I don't know, like, their team, like, getting knocked out of playoffs probably demotivated them as well.
Yeah, true. Oh, he was on Kramers, right?
He was not Kramers.
Yeah, Kramers. Wait, right? Kramers? The Cramorant.
It's Kramers.
Okay. Yeah, that one. So, yeah. I think for 7K, this is a fine pickup. Next up, we have Plas for 5K. He's known to be the LC GOAT. There is no LC, unfortunately, but I think Plas as a player is also really good. And I think if you're really good in some format, some element of that playability should be able to transfer over into some other format. So I think for 5K, you're not really taking that big of a gamble on him being able to play standard. So I think this is a fine pickup. You agree?
Yeah, I agree. Like, if you're good at LC, you should at least be like fine in standard at least.
Yep. Last pickup, they got Mia for 5K. How do you feel about Mia? I honestly think this is a fine pickup.
It's a steal.
You think it's a steal?
She had a really good run last season in DPL.
Oh, did she? I don't remember it. I thought she just did average.
She won like 3-0 after getting picked up wins.
Oh wow. Okay, then yeah, this is an actual steal. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Okay. Damn. All right. Well then, really good pickup. I guess that ends there because I don't really know what else to say there. Because I didn't know that. I thought this was just like an average pickup. I thought Mia wouldn't be playing that many games or anything. I thought this was like a pure prep support or team support pickup. But I guess if she did really, really good in last season, then for 5K, this is a really good pickup. Yeah, what do you think about the team overall?
I think it's a well-rounded team. Like, nobody on the team is bad.
Yeah, I agree. I think all these players are capable of playing the game, so I think they can slot in anyone, anywhere, and they will do well. But like I said, I think the cap core. Yeah, I think the cap core is just on the lower end, so I don't know how much that'll play into it. But yeah, I guess we'll see. Anyway.
At the very least, like, Venom won his team.
True. He did literally win last season of DPL, and he was the captain. So that's good things to come. Maybe
he wasn't even able to play.
True. That is true. So maybe they just won't play the captains, and they'll just repeat last season. So yeah, I guess we'll see. All right, now the final team, last but definitely not least. Honestly, this might be the best team. I really, really like this team. I guess first we can go over the cap core. Kaz and Draw 15. This is easily the best cap core in terms of prep activity and team support. We know that Draw 15 sweats so hard, and he has this way of building teams that if you give it to a good player, they'll just win. We've seen it with Derek last season. We've seen it with Blunder the season before. So, yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why this team is so broken. They follow that strategy very well. They got a bunch of small gun players that are really good at playing the game, and then they have Draw to build all their teams. So they have like really good players that can play the game, and they have one of the best. Actually, I don't want to say one of the best, because I think he's literally just the best prep support in the entire Draft League community. So
it's most ideal captain card.
Yeah, literally. Yep, exactly. Draft 15 is just going to be able to build every single team for every single one of his players, and all these players are good, so they're all just going to be winning their games.
And then Kaz is super sweaty too.
Yeah, exactly. Kaz is the sweatiest in draft league. He's on like Jake level for DPL. So yeah, this is a really good cap core. And yeah, we can move on to their first pickup here. Jacko for 30k. Or 29.5, but yeah, basically 30k. I think it's a fine price. We know that Jacko's good, okay?
Yeah, I think that's just about right. He's been on a tear everywhere, I think.
Exactly. We've always seen him do well, and he's given us no reason to doubt that he will do well now. So for 30k, I think this is a solid pickup. This is one of your locked-in wins, pretty much. So really good pickup. Nothing much else to say there. We can move on to Derek now for 17.5k. Now he was actually broken last season in DPL, okay? He destroyed everyone in USM. I think his only loss was to Undead on like some kind of crit or something. He was going to go 8-0, and then he just got kind of unlucky versus Undead in the last week. So yeah, for 17.5k, this is an absolute steal. I think this guy's worth like 25k, and again with draw prep support, he will most likely go 7-1 or 8-0 once again. So really good pickup.
I predicted last season with draw support. I don't know why I wouldn't go give this season with draw support.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to be a repeat. History tends to repeat itself, and I don't think anything different will occur with Draw and Derek being able to prep and play as they do. Yeah, we can move on to Sky for 17.5k. Now, I've come across a really interesting stat for Sky that I've recently found out. It's that every single team tour that he's signed up for that's non-DPL, so TTT or Clash of Kings, he has won. He has a 100% team tour win rate in non-DPL team tours, which is insane. And he's always going positive in every single team tour that he plays in. So for 17.5k, you got someone who has a 100% win rate in every team tour that's on DPL, and someone who's most likely, or like 99% going to go positive. So I think this is a really good pickup here. You agree?
I agree. Sky's super consistent. Hopefully plays that in DPL.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I guess we can move on to X-Ray now for 9.5k. I know we've seen him not do too great last season, but I think there was some kind of lack of motivation, and apparently like the captains last season on his team weren't too active or something. So maybe this time he can turn it around. We know that
they had John Finch.
Yeah, and I think they were kind of dead from what I've heard from the players on Young Golders W. I think the captains weren't really that active or something. So we know that X-Ray is a good player. You've seen him perform really good on Smogon. So much like Derek, I think with draw prep support, I think he'll do really, really well. And I think that's going to be a theme for this team. We have a bunch of really good players, and we have Draw and Kaz being able to prep for them. And these really amazing pilots will be able to just get wins with the really amazing teams that the captains can build. So I think 9.5k might even be a little bit of a steal here.
I think that's honestly just about right after last season.
Yeah, exactly. So we can move on to Jeroni Puff, 11k. I think this is a steal. We've seen him do good. Yeah, I think even on Young Golders W, even as the captains were dead, we saw that Jeroni Puff did absolutely amazing, okay? Like, if you told me that I'm going to have a cap core that's not going to be active and pretty much dead, and I'm first time in DPL, and you expect me to go positive, I would say you're insane. But somehow, Jeroni Puff managed to do that. He just decided, yeah, you know what, I'll just do really, really well out of nowhere in my first ever draft league thing ever. So, yeah, you know, absolute steal here.
Then he did really good in TDT too.
He did do pretty good in TDT as well. He was on my team, and he did really good. Much like Odin, we could just throw in Jeroni Puff, and we were pretty confident that he would win his games. So, 11k, absolute steal here. And it still matches the theme of the team, which is a really good pilot, and then the captains can prep for him and absolutely destroy everyone.
Could you imagine, like, if Jordan prepped for himself and did that good last season? Imagine what draw support.
Yeah, exactly. This is gonna be insane. Yeah, we can move on to Amu Kamara for 5k. I think this guy's a Smogon guy. I think I looked him up on Smogon, and he's like some kind of tour player. I don't really know that much about him. So I don't have that big of an opinion yet. We'll see how well he does, but still follows the theme of the team. You know, you just get these Smogon players who are pretty good at the game, and then you got the captains to prep for them and pilot the teams. So yeah, it's still the same thing. Yeah, how do you feel?
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know? Yeah, so we can move on to Zugubu Royale for 6.5k. I think this is an absolute steal. We know that Zugubu is an actually broken player. He won a Emerald Open,
Didn't he
which
win
is
the
the
Emerald Open?
yeah, he won Emerald Open, which is the GSC tour, I think, that was hosted by Kaz and Keegan, I want to say. So we know that he can play really well, and he didn't even have that much prep support. I don't think he just prepped by himself. So again, this team is all about Draw and Kaz being able to prep absolutely broken teams and then giving it to these absolutely broken players. So for 6.5k, I think this is an actual steal. I think, yeah, this is an insane steal. I think Zagoob is really good at the game, and he should just be able to win most of his games with the prep support provided by the captains. What do you think?
I'm not really that familiar with him, but like if he's getting smug on, he should be great in Jack. It's prep support.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so I think the last three, I think these three are probably not going to be seeing that much playtime, I want to say. I think VM Nunez might get some playtime, but all these min bids, VM Nunez, I don't know how to say it. Is it VM Nunez? It sounds like Spanish. Is it? Or is it?
I think it's Nunez.
Okay. Yeah, VM Nunez and Scrappy 10 and Deadbolt. I don't think all these players will see that much playtime, but I think all these players are good, and I think all these players are good prep support at the very least, and I think all these players are going to be active. So for min bids, I think this is totally fine. What do you think?
I think Nunez for 5k is a size skill, and I'm pretty sure Scrappy was super active last season at least.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really know Deadbolt.
Deadbolt made all these logos that you've seen throughout the, this power rankings. All these logos were made by Deadbolt, so that's something, I guess. But yeah, like I said, I don't think most of these last three will see that much playtime, but I think all of these three are good pickups. So, and also they have 8.5k left for mid, so they're gonna be able to pick up anyone, whoever they want, if they need to drop someone. So, I think, in my opinion, this is the best team. Just overall, I think Draw, Kaz, Prep Sport, with all these absolutely great pilots for their teams, they're gonna sweep everyone. And yeah, this is just an absolutely broken team. Yeah, I think that pretty much almost concludes it. I want to go a little bit over our playoff predictions here. But yeah, I think, like I said, overall, I think Florida Men might be the best team. What do you think, Hacker?
I'm not really familiar with a lot of Florida Men's guys, but I trust your word on it.
Yeah, I think all these players are just really good, and I think this prep support is going to be insane for them. But yeah, we can move on to a little tiny playoff picture here. It's nothing super prepared or anything. I'm just going to ask you who you think will make playoffs, and then I'll say who I think will make playoffs. That's all. Who do you think? Just pick four.
I think Mount Rushmore and Trick-of-Eye for sure.
Oh, okay. Wait, really? Wow, okay. Oh, so someone on my list.
I think Mount Rushmore definitely.
Okay, yeah. So if you say Trick-of-Eye, I think someone on my list isn't going to be on your list. What are the other two?
I think PoryGod Squad's really good.
Wow.
Trick-of-Eye, PoryGod
oh my god,
Squad,
okay.
Mr. Kings, and probably Florida Men.
That's 5 teams, buddy. You gotta pick 4.
I'm gonna say John W's gonna be cursed.
Okay, so not Mystic Kings?
Yes.
Okay, so Hacker Killer's playoff predictions is Mount Rushmore, Trick-of-Eye, PoryGod Squad, and Florida Men. Is that it? Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay, so in that case, I will give my prediction. And they're actually pretty different. I didn't think they'd be this different. I think it's easily going to be Mystic Kings and Florida Men. I think those two are the best teams in this tour, and it's not that particularly close. So yeah, I think those are easy picks. And then I think Mount Rushmore just has a really good starting 7. So I think they're probably going to be able to win most of their games and get into playoffs. And I think Rose Garrison just has really solid players, all their players that they can play well. So I think those are the 4, which are Florida Men, Mystic Kings, Mount Rushmore, and Rose Garrison. But yeah, I think with that actually just concludes our auction analysis, power rankings, whatever you want to call them, for DPL Season 5. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.